Welcome to Contemporary Retirement. Contemporary Retirement is a public interest program focused on the retirement community. Every program has segments on legal, financial, and health issues affecting the retirement community. Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a major grant from the Family Heritage Trust Company.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored by Family Heritage Trust Company. The Family Heritage Trust Company is an independent bank chartered trust company established by local professionals to provide fiduciary services including fee-based investment advice, trust services, retirement planning, and tax planning. The Family Heritage Trust Company is committed to client service in our communities. For more information, call the Family Heritage Trust Company at 301-631-5900.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a grant from R. Thomas Murphy & Associates, P.C. R. Thomas Murphy & Associates is one of Franklin County's leading law firms, emphasizing estate, trust, elder law, and medical assistance planning.
Welcome to the Is It Legal feature on Contemporary Retirement. Is It Legal focuses on the legal issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Tom Murphy from the R. Thomas Murphy Law Firm with offices in Waynesboro, Chambersburg, and McConnellsburg. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Good morning, Mike.
Tom, we're going to talk about a very tough topic today, a topic that I find is just almost universally misunderstood both by the public and healthcare providers. And that's a document called a POLST, a Pennsylvania Order for Life-Sustaining Treatment, a MOLST, a Maryland Order for Life-Sustaining Treatment. And people think this document is a living will.
Well, exactly. And so they're being presented with these papers in facilities and being told you have to sign this even though they have no life-threatening illness or diagnosis.
And ironically, Maryland don't sign it anyway. Doc signs it. The problem is that your living will, the document that we use for you, whether it's called an advance directive or a living will, says if my death from a terminal condition is imminent, you're fully diagnosed. And even if life-sustaining procedures are used, there's no reasonable expectation of my recovery. Prognosis is 0, and the way we write it, the doctors diagnose it and your family agrees. In that circumstance, it's okay to consider a reduction of treatment.
Right, I mean, there's only few situations where that's going to occur, and otherwise, you want to receive, in most cases that I'm aware of, every possible opportunity for care.
That's right. So if you take a person who is not otherwise terminally ill or has some other reason why they don't want to be treated, and you take them to the emergency room, do you have any idea what's wrong in the first 15 minutes?
Well, exactly. You need testing, you need to figure it out, and so you just don't want to, throw your hand in there and say, that's it, well, I guess it's over.
But people in all these continuing care retirement communities, assisted living, nursing homes, have these things hanging in their room as if they know the next time they go to the emergency room, they're going to die.
Right, and it's just not the case. Most people don't have some specific terminal illness where it's been diagnosed and everybody's discussed it. It's usually vague.
And so, I look at anybody and says, until you have a diagnosis and a prognosis and your family has agreed with that diagnosis and prognosis, your response is, I want everything, fully treat until you can tell me what's wrong.
Right, and with medical advances, most times they can treat you. And so there's no use just giving up.
The big challenge that we have is when family members take a loved one to the emergency room, they'll have healthcare providers start asking them questions. Do you want this? Do you want that? Well, related to end of life, maybe they don't want that, but you don't know that that person's end of life, and you don't know whether by agreeing to some reduction of treatment, you may have compromised that person's ability to, to recover and go home.
Exactly. I want the physicians focused on recovery, not giving up and walking away. So there's no sense guessing in that arena.
And so I tell people every day, until you have a diagnosis and a prognosis, that goes to the living will. If my death from a terminal condition is imminent, you're fully diagnosed, and even if life-sustaining procedures are used, there's no reasonable expectation of my recovery. The prognosis is 0, and then in that circumstance, it's okay to consider a reduction of treatment. But the vast majority of our viewership, the next time they find themselves in an emergency room, they do not have that definiteness as to their medical condition, and they have no business agreeing to a reduction of treatment until they know what's wrong.
Exactly. And so if people are confused, they need to ask the question and really walk through it instead of just signing things that are being forced on them.
I just tell them, I'm not agreeing to any reduction until you can tell me what's wrong.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Tom, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
You're welcome.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Few things in life are as important as family. Leave your insurance worries to us. Write Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
Every life that meets its end leaves a heart for love to mend. Sister, brother, family, friends are left to carry on. When the loss seems more than you can bear, it's nice to know that we'll be there at Douglas A. Fiery Funeral Home. We care.
Call Ed Lowe to help put your mind at ease.
Welcome to the special guest feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various issues which are of importance to the retirement community. My guest today is Danielle Sexton, Program Coordinator for Stepping On, Washington County Health Department. Welcome to the show, Danielle.
Thanks for having me.
What's Stepping On?
Stepping On is an evidence-based 7-week-long program that focuses on falls prevention.
And obviously with the retirement community, falls is a very substantial risk.
Yes, it is. There's a lot that goes into it, and it can be life-altering with extended hospital visits, the bills that rack up, loss of independence. There's a lot that can happen from a fall.
And obviously there's somewhat of an increased risk as people age.
Yes, there is. And a lot of it has to do with the rest equals rust saying. So if you're not using it, you're losing it. So the whole idea is that when people aren't moving as much anymore, they're not doing as much, they become more at risk of falling.
And so it could be balance issues, vision issues, and frankly, some of our homes are almost obstacle courses, creating the opportunity to hurt yourself.
Yes, most of the falls happen at home, and part of that is because adults are living at home. That's where you spend most of your time, but there's a lot of danger that happens just in the home.
All right, well, first of all, let's talk about the program itself. How does the program work?
So the program works by, we'll set it up in a community, we'll do it at an apartment complex for older adults, we'll do it in a gated community, we'll do it right at the health department, at the hospital. So it'll start there, and we'll start to market the program so people can join. And then after that, we also have to coordinate professionals to come in to teach part of the classes. So I'm the leader of the class, but we also have a physical therapist that comes in to talk about strength and balance. We have a vision specialist to talk about eye care, medication management from a pharmacist, and then environmental safety from a police officer.
And there's a lot of built-in traps in the home, as we're aware. You know, it's very well known that as you age, you lose your night vision. You don't see as well at night. And so I'm going to kind of reach across and address some of these things. And this thing obviously here is not designed to keep a room lit up all the time, but would certainly, you know, provide a little bit of additional light rather than trying to stumble around in the dark.
Yeah, that's a nice little night light that you can turn it on, off, or auto. So when the lights are off, then it would turn on for you. So, you know, if you're forgetful, you wouldn't even have to worry about it turning it on.
And so most people are aware of these things, but don't realize that there's a lot of opportunity there, and so as part of the course you're talking to them about how to do that. One of the other interesting things is most of these things are LED now, which means their energy consumption is minimal.
Yeah, so there's probably even better options. That one's a little bit older, so there's definitely better options out there. You can find them at any hardware store, maybe even a Walmart. So it's really important to have a well-lit hallway. I mean, I have a nightlight in my own home so that I can get to the bathroom in the middle of the night without running into the doorway.
Okay, so I see that we have some canes here. Now, what might be the purpose of these?
This is actually a walking stick, and in many of our classes, and even with the physical therapist, a lot of people are more comfortable using the walking stick because it doesn't have that negative connotation that a cane does, but still gives you that extra stability, and you can feel around the environment. So like, say today it's snowing, they can maybe use that walking stick to feel an area first to see how deep the snow really is before they take that step.
So it's adjustable based upon height, so you know, this can work for almost anybody.
Yes, it does.
Now I got this pink one here, which I notice has a much larger grip on it than the black one that we were looking at here. So I assume this provides even an additional layer of security for a person who's a little bit insecure about that.
Yeah, so this pink one's actually really fun. If you don't mind, I want to show you. So it does have that better grip, and then the end is thicker as well compared to a walking stick that's thinner. But this one is really fun because it comes apart, and you can just carry it in your purse or keep it in your car, and then it pops right back together for you to use right when you need it.
Pretty cool, pretty cool. Now, I'm looking at this here, and most of us as we're getting old are taking medications, but why is this important?
So I brought that today to talk about why medication management is so important, especially when we're taking more, like you said. But it's really important because there are medications that can dehydrate you. They interact together to make you dizzy. So you would want to make sure that you are talking to your pharmacist, talking to your doctor to get that underway.
All right, now I know we have a carpet here, and it's not about getting more carpet. What's it about?
No. So we want to make sure people are knowing that carpets are a huge risk, especially, so say I'm not getting rid of my carpet, you're at least going to want to get it taped down to the floor. But a lot of people that I've talked to are just getting rid of the carpets altogether because they cause a trip hazard for you in your home.
All right, and then what's this thing?
So I brought those today to talk about, so say outside of your home, if you have brick steps, they get really slick with just the rain. It might be too expensive to get rid of the bricks altogether, but you would want to put those on the edge to give you that extra grip on your foot when you're stepping up and down the stairs.
So this is easily installed, and it clearly gives you an additional grip then. Now I know you got a shoe and you have a slipper here. What's the point of these?
So I brought two different shoes today to show how important it is to have proper footwear for any of us. The slipper, it's all comfort, it's really nice and cozy, but your foot isn't secured in it. It's easy to slip out. They can get caught on the carpets or different and slip even on the kitchen floor, say that. But this nice Rockport shoe has enough give in the shoe, but it's got a thick enough sole. It covers up the whole foot. And so this was, in the class we do a shoe audit, and so we compare everyone's shoes and the shoes that I bring in, and this one has the best review so far.
So how can a person or an organization get information from you?
So they can call me and I can just put them on a wait list until we get the next class started, but they can reach me at 240-313-3302.
Washington County Health Department,
Yes.
ready to help any organization.
We're ready to help.
Danielle, I thank you for taking time to appear on our program.
Thank you for having me.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Tranquility at Fredericktown Assisted Living and Memory Care provides a warm, home-like atmosphere that promotes daily life enrichment. At Tranquility, our medical director is a geriatric physician. Our professionals support and understand the various stages associated with Alzheimer's and dementia. We have on-site physical, occupational, and speech therapists, as well as around-the-clock licensed nurses. For more information, give Tranquility at Fredericktown a call today, because everyone deserves great care. Let us do the caregiving so you and your loved one can embrace life again.
Guys, I thought you were supposed to be working in the yard.
But Dad, just one more bid on HurleyAuctions.com.
If you haven't visited HurleyAuctions.com, you don't know what you're missing. Whether you're buying or selling, antique cars, tractors, boats, or real estate, you can do it all at HurleyAuctions.com.
Get to know Dr. Carrie Hesley at Diagnostic Imaging Services.
What I find most rewarding is caring for women through our Women's Imaging Center. We have a caring staff that will ease patients through an ultrasound, bone densitometry, breast biopsy, or mammogram. Our health team is sensitive to emotions involved in women's imaging and understands that every woman is at risk for breast cancer. Providing the community with a center that is so dedicated to breast health and the imaging needs of women is something special.
DIS Women's Imaging Center, providing women with progressive care.
Welcome to Contemporary Health Scene. Contemporary Health Scene focuses on various health issues which affect the retirement community. With me today is Leona McTaggart, Senior Living Consultant, the Kensington and Country House in Cumberland. Welcome to the show, Leona.
Thank you for having me.
You know, one of the challenges that we have as we get to the western part of the state, and this also includes southern Pennsylvania and northern West Virginia, there's not a lot of facilities out there designed to assist people as they become increasingly at risk in their own home.
Yeah, that's correct. And, you know, we are seeing, you know, that number increase, you know, as folks aren't able to live independently in their homes, especially in a rural area like ours.
And one of the challenges that we have, and when family members are embarking to become caregivers for their parents in particular, is we see that the parent oftentimes is not a great patient.
Right.
They don't really take instruction from their children very well.
That's correct. And not only that, but it does place a burden on the care provider or the children as well. And that's why we offer respite services at Country House and Kensington.
And so as we look at that care plan, we also have a challenge that we see in many families. The requirement to be able to maintain any sort of quality lifestyle requires that the child work. Oftentimes both spouses in the household are working. And so it becomes a great challenge to try to provide support when an older parent in particular has health support needs, but there's no specific hours of the day that support is needed.
That's correct. And not only that, one of the biggest challenge is transportation to medical appointments and to retrieve medications as well. We often find those folks what we call the sandwich generation, where they're taking care of their elderly parents and also trying to raise their children at the same time.
And so it creates a lot of challenges, and then people attempt to use caregivers that are, you know, under the table and so forth. And we spend a lot of time talking here about the inappropriateness of that, both from a legal liability perspective, tax issues. But one of the great challenges too is no matter how well intended that person is, if their car breaks down or their child is sick or something like that, all of a sudden they don't show up. We have a heck of a problem dealing with that parent.
Right, and that's when it becomes an emergency or crisis situation, which is when we usually get the call then. Not only that, but, you know, building trust is incredibly important as well.
And so as we look at that, we oftentimes find that the care within the home, even though people automatically think it's going to be better, is not necessarily the case.
That's correct. And not only that, but there are maybe some home modifications that need to be made to ensure that that person is safe in that home, whereas, you know, a community like ours, everything is already in place for them.
And I find ironically that a parent might accept instruction from a young med tech or a young CNA more readily than they would accept it from their adult children.
Right, and not only that, but we do have that expertise in those medical certifications, so they do look to us as the professionals in that industry.
And I oftentimes tell people the #1 driver for satisfaction when you're in this arena is socialization. And so being in your own home with no vehicle or living in a child's home with no vehicle is very isolating, and most people don't like it very much.
Oh, exactly, and that's why it's so important that, you know, our life enrichment program, you know, comes in, because that's where the socialization and, you know, meeting and forming relationships and friendships are truly important.
So part of the reason I like the Kensington a lot, we'll pull up some pictures here, is it's an old hotel, so it's architecturally very interesting.
Yes, I mean, it's got charm. You know, everybody that comes in reminisces, especially if they're from the area, about certain parts of that building. And quite often we'll get folks that come in that simply just want a tour to see it again.
And so you use the old dining room as an actual dining room now, so it's still high ceilings.
Right, high ceilings. The architecture is still there. We don't change a thing in that dining room, and it's actually very grand.
And you see, these are the old style windows in the old hotel overlooking downtown Baltimore Street in Cumberland.
Yes, Baltimore Street. A lot of our folks like to sit there and window watch and people watch.
And they can walk across that bridge right into the downtown area.
They sure can, and we absolutely encourage that and promote it. We actually have staff that will, you know, escort them as well, especially whenever there's a special event happening in downtown Cumberland.
And of course, you have some courtyards, but you also have another adjacent facility, which is fairly unique for the Cumberland area, and that is the ability for have a husband and wife that have differing care needs to be able to stay in the same environment.
That's correct, and that's actually quite common, but the good thing is, you know, we have a lot of, you know, programs and activities and special events where we can actually have that husband and spouse together a lot.
But even more importantly, if one of them has advancing dementia, you have a second facility right there.
Absolutely.
And that is?
Country House. Memory care unit. It's 22 beds, lockdown facility with specialized care in dementia.
Well, Leona, I want to thank you for taking time, and how can they get a hold of you?
They can call us at 301-777-8800 or visit our Facebook page at Cumberland, Kensington.
Leona, thanks for taking time to appear on the show.
Thank you for having me.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
The Community Foundation, through its scholarship programs and through its strategic grants, has been a positive influence for change.
Last year, change in Frederick County was influenced thanks to nearly 1,800 caring donors. Everyone can help. Your influence is key.
Help us proactively focus on where we need to be investing our energy in the future.
Albright, Crumbacher, Mal & Idell are a full-service firm that provides elder care services including managing incoming bills, bill payment, depositing checks, balancing bank statements, and preparing, planning, and filing personal tax returns. Put your mind at ease and call us today.
Welcome to the Making Sense feature on Contemporary Retirement. Making Sense focuses on the financial issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is David Twenhafel, Senior Vice President of the Family Heritage Trust Company. Welcome to the show, Dave.
Well, thanks for having me on, Mike.
Dave, you're also a certified financial planner, and I know many times our viewers might kind of knee-jerk that because oftentimes that's connected with a product sale. Is that the case at the Family Heritage Trust Company?
Not at the Family Heritage Trust Company. We don't have any products. We are a fee-only organization. We give people advice that covers their whole situation from a fiduciary standpoint.
What's that mean?
That means we always put their interest before anybody else's.
And that's actually legally required. There's no ifs, ands, or ambiguities about it.
That's because we're a trust company. So yes, it's a legal requirement for us.
You know, one of the things that we help clients work with is the understanding of what their finances actually mean. And many times people don't fully understand it. They will say, okay, I invested $10,000 in a mutual fund. I've owned it for 10 years, and it's now worth $20,000. Therefore, I have $10,000 in gain.
We hear that, but a lot of the time that's not the case because the mutual fund has reinvested. It's had dividends that were used to buy more shares that increased the tax basis. And so you can sell that and probably not pay anywhere close to the amount of taxes you might be thinking you're going to pay.
So to make it simple, if it had $5,000 worth of reinvested dividends over that 10 years, your cost basis is not $10,000, it's $15,000. Even though you didn't see the money, you paid taxes on the dividends,
right,
and the government says you have now invested $15,000 in that, and so your gain is not 10, it's 5.
It's 5, right.
And the benefit of that in most capital style stock investments is that $5,000 gain is not going to come out at ordinary income, but rather will come out as capital gains. What's that mean?
Capital gains have there are two different tax rates for capital gains. For most Americans, 0% is the tax rate for capital gains. For a small number, it's 15%. And for a tiny fraction of Americans, it's 23%.
And so particularly the older population, which does not have earned income, many times they're surprised to find out their capital gains rate is negligible. They can actually sell that stock without recognizing gain.
That's right. They can sell, well, they recognize the gain, but they don't pay any taxes on it. And something we do is help people figure out how much gain can you take this year and pay no tax on it.
And oftentimes we look at soaking up that zero tax rate or the very low tax rate, and so we have people that worked for a particular employer for a long period of time. They have a bunch of stock in that employer, and they will refuse to diversify out of a perception that they're going to pay a large tax bill, which may not be warranted.
That's correct, and in that case, we really want to make sure that they're able to diversify, and so selling that company stock will be one of the first things we'll look at just to generally reduce their risk.
But it doesn't mean dump it all at once.
No, it means be careful about it, plan it out, soak up the 0% tax as much as you can for as long as you can.
And so you work with the person's financial advisors, you work with their CPAs, you work with their lawyers. You don't just walk them in there and say, all right, we want to dump all this and put you in something else.
No, it's a coordinated effort with the tax advisors and making sure we really understand their whole situation.
And yet, you know, oftentimes people say to me, I'm unwilling to sell, let's say they had a $100,000 investment. I'm unwilling to sell it because I don't want to pay taxes, but I pose a reverse question to them. If you didn't own that stock and you had $100,000 in your savings account, would you spend $100,000 on that stock? And the answer is almost uniformly no.
Right.
And we point out to people, the decision to keep it is the same as the decision to buy it.
That's right. Every day you get to make that choice.
It's not like your house. I like my house. Well, that's fine. But stocks there's no personality attached to a stock. You really have to approach it that every day the decision to keep it is the same as the decision to buy it.
Exactly. And there are certain kinds of stocks that might perform well for certain reasons, and then the reasons change. So right now, for example, interest rates might be heading up, and so certain stocks might not do well in that environment.
And so part of the role there is because at the trust company, it doesn't make any difference to you how you choose to help them invest. The fee's the same. You're not making more on one, less on another. So the client can really sit with you and just talk, what makes most sense for me?
That's exactly right. We don't care whether it's product A or product B, or we don't have products. So the style of investment they do doesn't matter to us. We want to make sure it's right for them.
And there's no one size fits all. So a more conservative person may have a more conservative portfolio. A more aggressive person may have a more aggressive one. You help them design that portfolio to fit what their interests are and their comfort level.
We do that, and then for some clients we find that they want a more conservative portfolio for some of their money, but then there's some money money they're likely to never need during their lifetime, and they're willing to be more aggressive with that, and we put that in a separate investment pile for them.
So how can they get a hold of you?
Well, they can call us at 301-631-5900.
No obligation.
No obligation.
David, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on this show.
Thanks, very good. Happy to be here.
Thank you from Contemporary Retirement.
Remember a more carefree time? Leave your insurance worries to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
These days, it seems like everything's online, and filling out claim forms and receiving and paying bills online isn't always easiest. That's why we at Quality First Insurance encourage you to just give us a call. Let us help.
Hi there, I'm Paul Sweeney with Quality First Insurance, and it's still just as simple. Our offices are open every weekday where you'll be able to call and speak to real, live people.
No detail was missed. I'm so glad that I turned to Quality First Insurance.
I've recommended Quality First Insurance to my friends who've been just as satisfied.
If you're not happy with what you're paying for Medigap, or more importantly, not happy with your service, give us a try. We're locally owned, and we take the time to provide you with the best. We are Quality First Insurance, and our mission is to provide quality products to quality people. Pick up the phone and give us a call today at 800-745-1411.